Actually, I would like to welcome Mr. Rick Wayman from Nuclear H Peace Foundation and Anna Ikeda from Soka Gakkai International to present the Youth Pledge. Please welcome them.
Wow, what an amazing and lively discussion. I wish that we had more time to continue doing so, but I really feel this is just the beginning, and I really hope that you feel as inspired as I am. So, as we have been discussing action and doing something and taking action in our own capacity, just we had in the discussion groups, we're now adapting a youth pledge that we've been hearing about. This is a youth pledge for nuclear abolition. And as you can see, many of us are wearing this T-shirt. And we, the representatives of about 30 youth around the world, we have been working on this document over the last few months, actually, with the aim that the pledge would not only convey our determination to abolish nuclear weapons, but also we want to invite as many youth around the world to join this movement. We call this the generation of change. So it is a hope that this pledge will inspire young people around the world to think of what each of them can do in their own capacity for a world without nuclear weapons.
The pledge is a tool that we can use to engage other youth in the movement. And we invite all of you to be the first group to sign on to this pledge. You can do it right now on the website, internationalyouthsummit.org, and it's linked right there from the front page. So if you have a phone or a laptop in front of you right now, go ahead and do it right now. Those of you at home watching on the live stream, I know you're on a computer, so you can do it right now too. But right now, we would like to present the pledge to Mr. Ahmed Al-Andawi, the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. So first, I will read the pledge. It's titled Generation of Change, a Youth Pledge for Nuclear Abolition. Nuclear weapons are a symbol of a bygone age, a symbol that poses imminent threat to our present reality and has no place in the future we are creating. 70 years have passed since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, yet the existence of nuclear weapons continues to threaten every single person with the prospect of a cruel and inhumane death. For 70 years, speeches have been made, statements issued and endorsed, saying never again, yet we're still held hostage by nuclear weapons. We, youth around the world, are mustering the courage to stand up and fulfill these decades-old promises of abolition. We need to eliminate this threat to our shared future, and we urge you to join us, the generation of change. It is time to take action. We seek human security and sustainability, which are impossible to achieve fully in the presence of nuclear weapons. Youth see the potential for a world without nuclear weapons. We see the potential for security not to be based on fear and more militarism, but on diplomacy, cooperation, and trust. Abolishing nuclear weapons is our responsibility. It is our right, and we will no longer sit by while the opportunity of nuclear abolition is squandered. We, youth in all our diversity, and in deep solidarity, pledge to realize this goal. We are the generation of change. The continued existence of nuclear weapons is unacceptable, and action must be taken to protect our shared future. Therefore, as the generation of change, we pledge to continue to educate and empower ourselves in order to better spread this awareness among our peers. Recognize that diversity in this work is important and work to educate ourselves on how gender impacts disarmament. Take action, raise our voices, and pursue nuclear abolition in our communities and in our countries. Share our knowledge about the humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons and the experiences of hibakusha and survivors of nuclear weapon tests. Encourage others to join the nuclear abolition movement and establish a strong unity among all nuclear abolition campaigners. Call upon every state to start negotiations on an international treaty for the prohibition and elimination of nuclear weapons, and to call on our elected representatives to adopt national legislation prohibiting and criminalizing the manufacture, investment in, testing, deployment, threat, or use of nuclear weapons. We, the generation of change, invite you to join us as we raise our collective voice to call for action. We refuse to stand by while nuclear weapons continue to threaten us and future generations. Join us, take action, and create change.
Good job. Really good job. You made it. It's a great call for action, great pledge, commitment, bringing young people from all over the world. And I think you have said it in a very eloquent way. And I think the world must listen, as I said before. Now, let me share with you a few thoughts here. As you rightly said, this call for abolishing nuclear weapons have been made almost 70 years ago. And since then, it has been repeated over and over again. But this call has been a missed call in many opportunities. And I think today we must raise our voices. We must talk to those who are in power, challenge them, and encourage them to take steps to save humanity from the danger of nuclear weapons. We need today to revive our humanity and sense of solidarity at the global level. As I said in my opening remarks, we just can't afford to gamble with our future. And we can and we should never allow anyone to gamble with our future. So you have a pledge to do certain things, and there are some of the pledges here, they require others to act on them as well. But I will invite you to start with yourselves first. Now I'll tell you what I miss in our work today. What we miss is having a global youth movement working towards peace. Our world is not in a good shape today. There are burning fires almost everywhere. Last year, we had the largest number of refugees and displaced people because of conflicts and disaster since the Second World War. Today, close to 600 million youth, they live in conflict zones or fragile security situations. Young people, they should not live in either as refugees, displaced, or victims of conflicts, or be forced to be perpetrators of these conflicts. We must put an end to that. Coming to here was following the news of the Syrian conflict. And you all hear the news about and the tragedy of the Syrian refugees. And many more young people around the world who are suffering from these conflicts. So today we are coming in particular to make a pledge to get rid of nuclear weapons. But today also we must pledge to get rid of the culture that would allow and legitimize and justify the use of these weapons. The absence of peace in our world today is our biggest challenge. Because you can't do development without peace. And you can't have peace without development. And you can nor have peace without development without investing and working with young people. So think about it. We have the largest generation of young people in the history. Half of this world population today under 25 years of age. A massive potential to bring peace and prosperity to their countries. But when you think that 600 million from young people today, they are living in conflict zone, fragile security situation, this is a wasted potential. So I'm asking young people today to also join forces with other youth organizations and other youth groups who are working towards peace. Last week, we met in Amman, Jordan. And there we had what we call it the first global forum on youth, peace, and security. And before I leave you, I have to explain to you and give you a homework as well as you go home. Now see the situation. To maintain international peace, you have to connect the dots. There are many youth groups today working in different sub-issues and sub-questions. Some young people are working in promoting peace. Others are working in countering violent extremism. Some are working to countering hate speech. Others are working to win the virtual battle online with the terrorists. Others are working in mediation. Some are working in the post-conflict settings, trying to help people to keep peace and restore it. Others are working on disarmament. Some youth groups like yourself are working on abolishing nuclear weapons. Now, all these elements are extremely important, but we just can't afford to go in different directions and not to come together. Because all these efforts are centered around one single and central question, that is peace and security. That is why last week we came with what we call it Amman Youth Declaration, which is calling for a new agenda at the global level that includes and connects all these dots and give an umbrella for all these topics. That is the umbrella of youth, peace, and security. And we even called the Security Council of the United Nations to adopt a resolution to bring all these topics in one coordinated package. Now, what you have done here is extremely important. You know, the issue about disarmament and nuclear weapons and peace building and peace and security have been always perceived as the question of politicians. And to put it in a more visual way for you, the United Nations is built on 3 pillars: human rights, development, and peace and security. Now, youth participation has been happening for decades now in the development, employment, health, education, all these issues, and in human rights as well. The only area that has been almost exclusive for adults, so for politicians, ministers of defense, military experts, has been the peace and security. Now, the founding nations of the United Nations were very smart people, actually. They designed it in a model where you really can't have a stable, functioning planet without having these 3 elements: peace and security, human rights, and development. But for far too long, young people have been excluded from peace and security debate because of the reasons I mentioned. Now, what we're trying to do is to reverse that and to say that young people are central to make peace and security a reality. So we need to break the wall between development, human rights, and peace and security, and to say that it's impossible to have peace without development, and as I said, no development without peace, and there's no peace nor development without youth participation. When it comes to peace and security, we need your contribution and your pledge to be heard everywhere. But today I also challenge you to work with your other youth organizations around the world who are working in peace and security. Because what you are trying to do here is the core question of peace and security: disarmament and nuclear abolition, nuclear weapons. So to do that, we need to work with others. And as I said, we just can't afford not to work together. So I invite you today to join this global movement of youth organizations, individuals, and other organizations who are working to include youth in peace and security. I think your pledge is just a clear example what young people can offer to the debate in peace and security, for all those who are still questioning whether young people can make a contribution there. I just can't take it anymore as a youth envoy that I see young people suffering all over the world from conflicts. They are the ones who are either used in these conflicts at the forefront as soldiers, sometimes even as children soldiers, or they are used for the hate speech, and they end up sometimes in shelters and refugee camps. And this way of looking at young people either as perpetrators of conflicts or as victims should be challenged today. I want to ask you, the images you see in TV when you see any of these wars or the bloody conflicts around the world are usually images of young people, maybe. So they are being sent to these conflicts. They are being killed, kidnapped, used. But I rarely saw in my life young people being invited to peace talks. When there are peace negotiations, they don't bring young people to the table. So they see you good enough to be fighters, be killed and to kill. But you are not good enough yet to come to the peace negotiation table. And we should change that. We should never allow young people to be used anymore in these conflicts, to be sent to these conflicts, and they are not even invited to be part of the healing. That's why I'm calling for a new agenda: youth, peace, and security. And we need to bring young people to this third pillar of the United Nations and to this third pillar of development around the world. That's what we need today. I think your pledge is making a contribution that should be heard. I only pledge that I will carry your message forward, and I hope you will pledge as well to work with others to reintroduce this new package and new agenda of youth, peace, and security. It's only with your participation, with your dedication, that we can make that happen. And we cannot afford to delay it anymore. It's a very urgent call, and let's honor the legacy of the survivors by making in their lifetime something happen, and to get at least this task done for abolishing nuclear weapons. We can do that, but we have a much bigger task of promoting peace and fighting hate speech around the world. So let's do that together. That's the message and the commitment of the United Nations. I thank you all for your commitment and leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those words. We can't express how much we appreciate your presence here today, the support of your office in the United Nations in this effort for nuclear abolition. And I'm sure many of us in this room will be involved in that broader struggle for peace that you so importantly described. To close this afternoon, I want to thank all of you in this room, all of the participants, as well as those who watched online. Also, particularly our speakers and presenters today, Mr. Komizo, Mr. Alandawi, Mr. Tanabe, and all the panelists who have also shared with us.
So I feel that the day was too short, but this is definitely the first step, as I just mentioned, and as Envoy on Youth just really reminded us, and challenged us, really we have to take action for peace and security as the young generation. So, I think really we have to, the value of this conference, what we were able to accomplish will be decided depending on what actions we can take from now on, the moment we leave this door. So, we should be promoting the pledge that we just introduced to expand the youth who are part of this generation of change. We want you to start taking action in your own capacity. In my table, there was a young man, 15 years old, who promised that he would make a video about nuclear abolition. So we'll be watching him. And based on what you learned today, please do anything that you can do in your own capacity. So this summit is not just an event, but the first step toward the future action.
So before we close, let me say it one more time. InternationalYouth.Summit.org. I hope that you will read the full pledge, sign on, and encourage your friends, your colleagues, your family to do so as well. So in closing, we would like to thank all of the volunteers, the behind-the-scenes staff, our amazing translators who were doing immediate translation today into your earpieces, as well as all of the volunteer translators who are at our various tables for the small group discussions. So first, I just want to ask our MCs, Nadia and Ashraf, just to come up to the stage. Thank you both so much for leading us and guiding us through this day today.
Close your eyes.
And if all the volunteers, all of the 30 international participants, our behind-the-scenes staff, please come up and be recognized on the stage. Thank you all.
So your house is mine too. And if you look to the heart, these words will ring true. Time to say goodbye to the fear within you. It's what you do, a revolution in you. Aim to change yourself and trust that I will too. It's what we have to do.
We also want all the volunteers, the local staff members to come to the stage too. So all the youth from Hiroshima that made this event possible. And I know some of the translators are still working, but other translation volunteers, if you're available, please come to the stage.
Stand up, we unstoppable because we made a vow to make the impossible possible. If you only believe in the things that we don't share, then you'll only see a people without care. If you only believe in the things that we don't share, then the future will be a world without us there. Take your hand, put down your arms. You can change the world, no matter who you are. Determination takes hold of resignation. Come and join us in a global transformation.
In Hiroshima, I saw the blast in the sky. One atomic bomb, 100,000 lives. All the vaporized smoke gone in the breeze. And melt the sister in the river, 100,000 degrees. Sound on earth, but some cloud above. So the smoke took the shape of 10,000 doves. I'm not a soldier for war, one soldier for peace. One sunflower makes 10,000 seeds. Yep.
Cause if you really believe that the world is ours to share, and you really respect the hearts of everyone there, cause if you really believe that the world is ours to share, and believe me, you'll see a world less despair. Time to say goodbye to the fear within you. It's what you do, a revolution in you. Aim to change yourself and trust that I will too. It's what we have to do.
Yeah.
So this whole concludes the today's summit. Thank you all so much for coming and have a safe trip back home. Thank you so much.